Good morning. My name is Lorraine Jacobs, and welcome and thank you for supporting Sunday Forums. For over 50 years at First Unitarian Society Milwaukee, the Sunday Forum Lecture Series has showcased speakers of interest. Forums are 1 hour in length and provide a presentation followed by questions. Scheduling and hosting these weekly programs is accomplished by volunteers. The presenters do not receive honoraria. The content of each forum may not always align with the viewpoint of First Unitarian Society Milwaukee. They are meant to offer topics which can be pursued further independently. And before we begin today, I would like to remind you that next Sunday, February 6th, our topic will be Art as Activism with Susan Semensky-Biatilla. And today we welcome Kevin Kane. He will be introduced by our forum host, Jerry Fredrickson. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to introduce Kevin, who's really started a pretty unique business, Green Homeowners United, fighting for climate change. And probably one of the most important things we can do is to insulate our homes and do all those things that we can do to conserve energy. Kevin, you might recognize him from his past. He's a former organizer for Citizens Action Wisconsin, and they have presented in the past at First Unitarian Forums. Kevin and his company are also a member of the Common Ground jobs team, and Common Ground is in the business of trying to find employment for those folks who are difficult to employ, and the jobs team is doing a lot of research on that. Kevin right now is hiring in his company. He's expanding, and so he's growing, and he's expanding around the Milwaukee area and out into the surrounding areas. So with that, I'll like to have Kevin take it at this time and pay attention, because there's going to be a little quiz at the end of this presentation. So take it away, Kevin.
Thank you, Jerry. And thank you, Lorraine. And thank you, everyone, for being here. I see both a lot of familiar faces and familiar names, so it's great to be reconnected to many of you. My name is Kevin Kane. I'm the chief economist at Green Homeowners United, which is a social enterprise that was built with the mission of making it so people can fight climate change at home and improve our homes while creating good living wage jobs for people right here. As Jerry mentioned, I was the organizing director at Citizen Action of Wisconsin, working on all manner of different public policy concerns for about a decade. And in recent years, there was a really big push to see if we could get Milwaukee County and many others to be a leader in advancing climate change vision that transcended just one city, county, village, all those sort of places. And what came out of that was the Milwaukee City County Task Force on Climate Change and Economic Equity. And that entity brought together city and county and other elected and public policy leaders, as well as business leaders, unions, nonprofits, community organizations, really trying to advance the vision of being good for the planet and improving our homes and creating good jobs, especially with an eye toward economic equity, and racial equity are not mutually exclusive. In fact, they present maybe one of the best ways to accomplish all of those. And so the City County Task Force has been working for a number of years to advance this goal, and has been making a lot of headway. But while at Citizen Action, we had the chance to try to encourage other economic entities to reinvest in places that have historically been underinvested or even disinvested in. Banks, utilities, credit unions. And out of that came a way of making it easier for people to afford to upgrade buildings, both commercial and residential, whether it was things like green mortgages or utility financing programs. So we tried to figure out, how do we help upgrade homes? How do we make this possible for more people to do what climate change says we have to do? And it became clear to us that the best way to do this was to spin off of Citizen Action a new entity we call Green Homeowners United, to be the entity that helps people identify what improvements to do, helps them understand what is truly affordable and carbon reducing, as well as becomes the contractor that hires and trains workers to do this. And so that's where we are today. And so with that, Green Homeowners United was launched, and we are an entity that does energy assessing. We work with Focus on Energy, the Department of Energy, the City of Milwaukee, the Building Performance Institute, and many others to try to figure out how to help people do right by the planet as well as their home and their utility bills. Be rewarded for doing the right thing. All of this came about, though, because of research by environmental organizations like the National Resource Defense Council that found that upgrading homes to be energy efficient is the single biggest thing that society can do to cut emissions, more than making every car an electric vehicle, more than putting solar panels on every commercial building. It was in residential. And we didn't think that enough people were really screaming that from the rooftops, so to speak, especially when you consider that upgrading homes to be efficient is not the only thing homes can do. That doesn't even include solar panels. It doesn't even include electrifying homes. And so suddenly homes are one of the most important ways to fight climate change, to cut emissions. And so we knew that we had to make a bigger deal about this. And so when we talk energy efficiency, we are talking about insulation, air leaks that make your house feel drafty, heating systems, cooling systems, lighting, plugged in devices like TVs and VCRs and all that, fans, especially your furnace fan, as well as windows and doors. It also can include solar, but more and more you're going to start hearing about what's known as electrifying homes, getting them off of gas. Things like heat pumps and induction stoves, mini split heat pumps, air source heat pumps, geothermal heat pumps, heat pump water heaters. They're very, very common in other parts of the country. They're starting to become more and more common right here in southeastern Wisconsin. But if we are serious about addressing this nation's carbon emission issue, then we need to upgrade homes. They really need to be the thing we have to work on a lot. And so we have. In the last year and a half, since the launch of Green Homeowners United, we have worked in 18 counties to help upgrade homes, to help farmhouses, homes in the central city, whatever it took to identify how they heat and cool and power, and how do you make that more renewable and less energy intensive. And so we are proud to have joined in with a bunch of green homeowners all over the state. And as a consequence, we have been really trying to figure out how to do a lot more in southeastern Wisconsin, because that would allow us to create more jobs locally. And thankfully, some of our work has been taken notice. Milwaukee's ECO department, their environmental collaboration office, is doing a push to encourage people to get energy assessments. And they actually made a short video, a video that I'm going to show you now. If this millennial can figure out how to screen share.
My name is Steve O'Connell, and we've lived in this house for 36 years. Some of the problems we've had with our house is just the age of the house and basically the leakiness of the house. We decided, Ann and I, because we've been talking about especially insulation and our new furnace, how to begin to make our house less drafty. The ME2 program really got us focused on what we needed to do. And then once we evaluated the house, then we knew what we needed.
We get a lot of questions from people reaching out to us wondering what can they do in their home to cut utility bills, to make their home more comfortable, to help address climate change at home. And almost inevitably, the first thing I tell them is it's time to get an energy assessment, because there are so many things that take place underneath one roof, and it's important to know what those all are. So when you have a professional contractor who has a background in energy assessment come to your home, they're going to look at things like your water heater, your furnace, but also your insulation, windows, walls itself. And we're going to use tests to determine, do you have air leaks in the home? Where is heat being lost? It's very scientific to help people identify what improvements can they make that hit that great aim of good for the person, good for the planet, to save money and reduce carbon emissions.
The assessment, we really didn't know what to expect. With our new windows and new furnace and things of that nature, new air conditioner, things should be pretty good. It wasn't. Once we started the assessment, we were amazed at how many drafty areas we had in the house.
The one thing that we tell people is we will happily let you know where improvements in your house can be made. We can help you, but you don't have to work with us necessarily. There are many tremendously talented contractors all throughout Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. We will show you with much of the diagnostic equipment that we have where that heat loss is, where the air leakages are, and we'll write a report for you that shows you what steps maybe you can take yourself. For the kind of do-it-yourself kind of person, we'll show it to you and make sure that you feel that we are giving you as much information as possible, because the important thing is you act, not that you have to go with any one company.
If we really want to help our ecology, we have to start at home. Your house has to be well sealed. Your house has to be ecologically sound. And if we're wasting a lot of electricity, we're wasting a lot of heat, that's energy that really should not be wasted, especially in older homes like ours. But Sherman Park, these houses are gorgeous. And if we can get these houses sealed and these houses much more ecologically sound, I think we'll help out the universe, literally.
All right, so very thankful that the city of Milwaukee decided to do a big push to encourage people to get energy assessments, but really what the heck are they? Well, an energy assessment takes a look at your home and tries to identify where is it losing energy, where is it losing heat, and what could be done to address that. It's going to look at everything from your water heater to your windows to your insulation levels to let us know how you can save money, cut emissions, and improve the quality of your building, the value of your home. There is very clear data on what improvements can save energy, but also improve your home value when the time comes to sell, excuse me. And this can be done for homes, for duplexes, for apartment complexes, churches, office buildings. Just about any building can improve its energy use, and all of them can get some form of an energy assessment. And right below, we have what's known as a Department of Energy Home Energy Score, a ranking of your home against all other homes nationwide. Are you average? Are you above average? Are you one of the most energy efficient in the nation? Energy assessments can show you where you stand on that and give you that roadmap to becoming one of the most energy efficient in the nation. And furthermore, both to sign up to get one as well as to see that video, you'll see this little link at the bottom of all of our slides. Going to www.greenhomeownersunited.com/ME2, you can show that video to others. You can sign up for one yourself. Take a look. But whether you have a beautiful old building like Jennifer has up here, or you just want to get an air test of your home, what's called a blower door test, we can get that figured out for you. But some of the benefits of an energy assessment are they can unlock special rebates, both from the city and from the utility companies. Rebates and grants to help make upgrades more affordable. They can unlock special green financing tools that make this affordable to pay off over time, that you may not be able to get the same terms without one. But most importantly, they can also help you know which improvements are most important. Does solar make sense on my home? What saves more, a new furnace or new windows? That's what these energy assessments are meant to do. In fact, here we can even zoom in on a home with a satellite to see if solar would work on that home with tree cover and roof angle. As well as optional add-ons such as figuring out how drafty the home is, as well as tracking the quality of the air you breathe that can address sleep or respiratory issues. We'll go over with you the results by video to answer questions, to help come up with a plan for what you may want to do, find out what you're eligible for, and help advocate for you if that's the need. And the research is pretty clear. Energy assessments are always a good idea. There was a study by Freddie Mac a few years ago, the secondary mortgage market, which found that rated or assessed homes sold for 2.7% more than comparable unrated homes, just by showing the results of the energy assessment with home buyers. So for perspective, that would increase the value of a sale by about $4,500 for the average city of Milwaukee home. But they also found that better rated homes sold for more than lower rated homes. That even homes that rated lower, if they had the assessment and they showed it at selling, they would increase buyers' interest in their place. And so always a good idea. In fact, more and more entities are starting to pay attention that if you're going to buy or sell a home, how green is it? And the Appraisal Institute is actually helping teach real estate appraisers how to value the home's energy efficiency. The MLS, which tracks home selling information, actually has sections in there for home energy score and utility data. Not every home's using it yet, but you're going to start seeing more and more do so. So it pays to make sure that your home is found how to be efficient. And a lot of them you may not know. These are just some pictures from inside an attic, big holes around a chimney or where pipes were going in that can explain why many homes are leaky, even if you can't figure out where. I have seen holes in attics so big I can fit through, and I am not a small man. But the important piece is, the most timely piece, I should say, is the City of Milwaukee's Milwaukee Energy Efficiency ME2 program. Their program is now extended until March 31st. However, for now, it's for city residents only. What they're doing is they're providing rebates/grants to reduce the cost of upgrades. The important thing to note here is they are not free then. They're not to make them free. They're to help make it more affordable to offset the cost. So for context, they're giving $500 off air sealing the home to make it less drafty, $500 off insulating the attic, $500 off a new high efficiency boiler or furnace, $1,000 off replacing a central air conditioning unit with a heat pump. We talked about that earlier. It's a way to heat your home with electricity and get off natural gas or propane in some parts of the state. And an extra $1,000 if you do a new heating system and air sealing and insulation together as a way to encourage people to do as much as possible at the same time. So that's up to $3,000 off the cost of this that they're encouraging residents to do. There is no income requirement. Anyone in the city of Milwaukee can, in theory, do this, but many of these will require an energy assessment to qualify for some of these, to help identify the benefits of some of these things. So the very first step is get an energy assessment. This is why the city of Milwaukee made that video, to encourage programs like this. Now, hold on, I might hear some of you saying, even with rebates off, I can't afford to make big upgrades to my home. Some of these things are expensive. Well, actually, you may be able to, because there are new fair green financing programs where the savings on your utility bill help pay for the cost of improving it spread out. So really, it's a big inefficiency that we spend so much on our utilities, and we could, take that money and invest it in improvements in the home that cut carbon and pay for themselves. You could get a green mortgage or turn your current home mortgage into a green mortgage. You could do a 0% interest payment plan to spread the cost over 12 months. And there will be a new revolving green loan fund that will be launched soon thanks to the federal infrastructure bill. All these things help make it so people who thought that they could not afford to do this, well, it turns out they may be able to after all. I'm going to talk briefly about all these things, just so people have an idea of what they are. But the big thing to pay attention to is the ME2 rebate program. Green mortgages is a program. It's one of the main things that Green Homeowners United was founded to help promote. Green mortgages work by when you are buying a house or refinancing a house, the lender will add in an extra 15% of the value of the home for energy efficiency improvements like solar panels, insulation, air sealing, heating systems, water efficiency improvements, and more. Whatever an energy assessor says is worthwhile for the home. And again, it works when someone buys a home, or if their current mortgage is over 3.5% interest now, they can have the lender pay for this, with the idea that every $1 added by the lender into the mortgage, because again, it's added to the mortgage, we're paying it back. Utility bills are slated to decrease by at least $1. So we're moving who we pay. We're not paying twice as much. The idea being, again, if your current mortgage is X amount is your mortgage and Y amount is your utilities, under the green mortgage, you might pay a bit more for your mortgage, but you pay a lot less for your utilities, and the difference is savings. However, the best terms, again, come if you have an energy assessment on the property first, or if you're buying a house, getting an energy assessment when, like a home inspector would come through the home. And so all these things are connected. They can be integrated with the city of Milwaukee's rebates. They can be connected to tax credits and other sort of things. And so when someone gets an energy assessment, we help people figure out which of these programs are available for them. Oh, and I should mention, I know this because one of my house was one of the early ones to do this. So we've seen this firsthand. But since launching, we've worked with all of these lending institutions to do some version of the green mortgage. And so Associated Bank is certainly the biggest and maybe most familiar to all of you, but we have institutions across Wisconsin and even beyond Wisconsin who are now offering these. And soon we will actually be able to bring green mortgages nationwide, which is something that no one else seems to have been able to do. And so we're quite excited about all of that. But more and more financial institutions are realizing that they can lend more fairly to people to reduce the expenses they already have. They're not giving more to people with the inability to pay. They're providing more to upgrade homes by making it easier for them to pay by reducing their utility bills. It's good for the planet, but in this case, it's also good for their bottom line and our bottom line. The only real losers here are the utility companies, and I think they'll be okay. The other thing I want to quickly mention is the infrastructure bill. This passed in November, and one of the little pieces of it is something called a revolving green loan fund. And this hasn't got as much attention yet, but you're probably going to hear more and more about this. The infrastructure law that passed in November included $250 million to set up green loan funds at the state level to upgrade homes and offices. It will be run from Madison under the Evers administration. However, it says in the law that if anybody wants to qualify, they have to get an energy assessment, the home energy score, that 1 through 10 number I gave you. We want to help people become first in line for this green loan fund as soon as it is up. And the most important thing to do now is to get the energy assessment, and we want to work with the Wisconsin Office of Climate Change and forgive me, I forget the exact acronym, to encourage this. In fact, these green loan funds already exist in other states like Illinois and Minnesota and Michigan. Wisconsin's one of the few that just never built one. And so it's pretty clear that we're about to have something like this that can help thousands of people do, again, what they didn't think they could afford to do. So we'll close on the presentation portion with consider getting an energy assessment. This is actually my house. This is my house's energy assessment. We got ours about 3 years ago before we started doing this. My house was able to take part in this green mortgage that I told you about. I was able to include solar panels, insulation, heat pump, water heater, windows, doors, water efficiency improvements, air sealing. You can see it had different reductions on my various utility bills. And in closing, but getting an energy assessment can help your home value increase. It can show you how to best stay warm. It can help access City of Milwaukee rebates or grants. It can also help get special access to green mortgage options or other green financing pieces. And it helps get you to be first in line for the Infrastructure Green Loan Fund. You can also get more options to learn even more about your home, whether it's its indoor air quality, its risk of lead-based paint. We do those kind of tests too, and other things. So as in-depth as you want to get in your home, we want to help you learn about it, and so we can act accordingly. And if you would like to even learn more about getting a home energy assessment, see that video, encourage other people to do it, this little link that I will also put in the chat, and I believe will be sent around later, will also be sent to everyone as well. So you can sign up right there or learn more about it right there. So what can you do to help? Well, the first thing to know about what you can do to help is, again, start at your own place. Get an energy assessment of your home. If you haven't, or if you have already, or if you're a renter or you otherwise don't know you can't or don't want one, encourage someone else to do it. The best way to double your impact on the planet is to find at least one more person to do what you are already doing or already considering doing. And so together, the only way that we are ever going to get millions and millions of homes is through word of mouth and encouraging our friends, families, and neighbors to do some of the most important work there is. So I see that the link was put into the chat. I'll do so again myself, encouraging people to take a look. So what else can you do to help? If you are a Milwaukee homeowner or you know one, sign up for a no-cost in-person determination of the ME2 rebate grant eligibility. Again, same link as before. If you go there and you say that you're with the city of, or you live in the city of Milwaukee, an option will be there for us to just come to your home and let you know if you are in fact eligible for these rebates or grants. And then you can decide, do I want an energy assessment? Should I consider a new heating system or insulation? Residents have until March 31st to get up to $3,000 off various improvements. However, to do the maximum amount, their attic must be above a certain size and be below a certain level of insulation, and will require an energy assessment first. So call us. We will do a no-cost visit to let you know if you are eligible first for the rebates and grants, and then you can decide how you want to proceed. So how you can help? Encourage people to go here if you know somebody in the city of Milwaukee, because they do not have a lot of time. To help with that, you're about to see a poll on your screen, and all of you will have the chance to weigh in. I'm going to ask you a couple of different questions. We're going to ask if you are interested in getting a visit like this, but also I am curious which approach you find to be the most compelling reason to get one. Every time we talk to folks, I want to hear why they think fighting climate change at home matters, saving money, improving home value, whatever it is, let us know. And I also want to know what comes to mind when you think of cutting your own home's carbon emissions. So the poll will be in front of you now. I'm going to leave it up for a few minutes, and then we'll talk about it in a minute. All right, I'm starting to see the question or the answers come through. We'll give people just a little bit more time. Looks like a little less than half folks here have answered. It's okay, there's a bunch of questions here. All right, for those who haven't finished yet, that's okay. This thing will still be up. But for those who have finished, if the window is still open, you can close it. But just leaving you with this, there are many ways to improve the home that pay for themselves over time, that help fight climate change, that make you a green homeowner and improve where your home stands against all other homes nationwide. It's good for the planet, it's good for our pocketbook, but it's also good at helping to create jobs. And as Jerry mentioned, something that we at Green Homeowners United are very dedicated to is trying to figure out how to create good living wage jobs, especially for people of color right here in southeastern Wisconsin. And while we are a relatively new social enterprise, we are continuing to grow, and we are dedicated to training and creating good living wage jobs that include wages, health, pension, HRA, vision, dental, training budget. We want these to be careers, because if an electrician or a plumber can be a career that people follow and get very specialized in, then why can't the experts that go in homes that fight climate change? Why can't we make those long-term careers with apprenticeships and have real master level weatherization techs? And so we work with Laborers Local 113 right over on 63rd and Appleton, which is one of the most racially diverse building trades around, to work on creating jobs and economic opportunity right here. And whether it is in adding insulation, whether it is installing various systems, or even reducing lead risks in the home, something that the city of Milwaukee is about to be putting a lot of time and energy into, we want to be creating those opportunities for people, not just gigs, but long-term careers. And so with that, I encourage you to reach out to me at any time. And we have time for questions. I see that there are a few, but that is my personal cell phone number. So I encourage you guys to text or call anytime.
Before we ask questions, I think Jerry is looking for one to start with. I just wanted to add, I have been putting the contact information on the chat, so you are able to find it there, and you can copy and paste it onto your own email or paper yourself. Okay.
All right, I see that there's a few questions that have been there, but oh, sorry, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Sherry has a question here. What mortgage companies offer green mortgages?
Great question. So the very first lender to do so was Associated Bank, here in Wisconsin anyway. They are the largest bank in the state. They're based in Green Bay. They have a presence all over the place. then outside of that, I can pull the list up again. But in general, it's any bank or credit union could, in theory, offer these green mortgages. They are offered by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, VA, and FHA. And any bank or credit union could, in theory, pick it up and start offering it. What we've learned is that most lenders don't know what this is. And because they are not energy experts, they haven't really tried to go down the rabbit hole to figure out how. And so that's why when we come in and say, not only have I done it, but we have helped many people do it, we'll show you, mortgage lenders, how to do this. It's not scary, it is safe, and it's a great way to set yourself apart. We've been able to get more and more lenders to do so. However, you may have noticed, we only have one credit union, and that one's all the way up in Appleton. So if some of you might be members of Educators or Summit or even Johnson Bank or any of the rest of them, reach out to them and ask them, do they do green mortgages and would they consider it? Because there's no reason they can't. In theory, all banks should make this the default. It's no higher interest rate, but they get to add in extra funds at no extra cost in fees for you to make it so people can cut emissions and save money. Every mortgage could be this.
Okay, it looks like Sherry's got another one here. Do you look for lead pipes and test for water quality in the home?
Not as our standard energy assessment, because we're looking right now mostly for energy. However, we are, as of February, going to start doing lead tests in the home. The City of Milwaukee's health department has really encouraged that to be mostly focused on lead paint. They find lead paint to be the biggest lead poisoning issue in the home, mostly from the dust that is created from old paint that has flaked or fallen apart. And if you've ever walked into someone's bathroom who has no bath fan, and you've seen the paint peeling, or you've seen it peeling around windows, you can definitely understand. We like to look at lead in the water though, because it definitely is an issue. And so I'm hoping that we can start talking about that. I believe it's going to be a big part of the infrastructure bill too, to address those lead lateral pipes.
Okay, I see a comment here from Bob Connolly and Lynn. They did this. It's great. We have an assessment with Kevin, and he did the improvements. Tell everyone what an assessment costs. And I see Kevin did answer here. Energy assessments could cost between $350 and $600, depending on what you want locked in, looked at, and which company you go with. So maybe you could elaborate a little bit on that, Kevin, as far as the details of the energy assessment.
So we do a couple of different types of energy assessment, depending on how in-depth somebody wants to get on their home. If they're just looking for a kind of an overview of where their house stands, we generally charge about $350, and most of those can help unlock rebates that are actually larger than the assessment cost itself. But people can get more specialized. If they want us to use a thermal camera to look through walls, if they want us to use the big device called the blower door that measures air leakage, if they want us to test for lead paint, we can do all those things. You guys can just decide how much time you would like us to spend in the home, how in-depth you would like us to be. Other companies in town will also charge usually around the same. Some companies will use kind of a little teaser, low cost or no cost one, as a way to get you to work with them, you know, pay nothing if you work with us kind of thing. And just be aware of that. This craft has been around for a while, but it's usually been so focused on how do you reduce your heating bill for comfort. We really need to start looking at this as this is about how to cut our carbon emissions and save money and improve the value and safety of our homes. It can't just be solely, I'm going to save $10 by adding pipe insulation to my hot water pipes. It's got to be more than this.
I see Dennis has a question. You have your hand up, Dennis.
Yes, thank you for this presentation. Could you go into some detail about electrifying your home? Particularly, two of the things that I wrote down that I wanted to know more about were heat pumps and what you called mini splits.
Awesome question. Heat pumps are fascinating technology that has actually been around for a very long time. However, it was really brought to commercial standards in the 70s, and since then it has gone through many iterations. They're very common now. They are very safe and trusted, but they are getting far better at cold climates, which is part of the reason why many of us have probably never heard of these, because they haven't really gotten to cold climates like ours until somewhat recently. Heat pumps are devices that kind of work like your refrigerator in reverse. Your refrigerator moves heat and pushes it out the back to help make sure that what's inside of it is cold, but it only goes one direction. Much like your air conditioner unit only goes one direction in the temperature that it creates. Heat pumps, usually the most common one is called a air source or ducted heat pump. It looks like a new air conditioner unit. However, it also, in addition to super effectively cooling your home, can also heat the home too, whether it moves heat out of the home to cool it, or it moves heat into the home to heat it. And so heat pumps, really in the near future, you may never, they may eventually stop selling normal air conditioners and instead start selling these instead. So heat pumps are miniature versions of these. And again, you may have already seen heat pumps. I'm going to pull one up now. Heat pumps, or mini split heat pumps, also called ductless heat pumps, install in the wall where there are no ductwork connected to a furnace. They're great if you just want to do one room, maybe an addition that has no heating system, or a garage or a basement, you know, things like that. Let me pull a picture up here. So these are mini split heat pumps. You usually see this little wall mounted square, this little vertical piece outside, and they're fantastic for heating or cooling certain rooms. The key here is that all of these rely on electricity. So your solar panels, if anybody has them, or if you buy renewable credits from We Energies, electricity can be the source of our heating and cooling. Electric furnaces and electric water heaters back in the day were one of the most expensive ways to heat and water or space. But heat pumps are really starting to get there. They are about 200 to 300% efficient, meaning every dollar of energy, or every dollar put in, creates about $2 to $3 worth of energy. So they're very, very efficient. You may have heard of 90% efficient furnaces. That means every dollar spent on heat on a furnace, you only get 90 cents worth of heat. The rest of it goes out of your chimney. At today's natural gas prices, although they just went up, so that may change. Under today's natural gas prices, heat pumps are almost competitive with furnaces. If the Build Back Better bill, or whatever version it comes out, does pass, that may change. Heat pumps may suddenly be even more cost effective than furnaces, because they're a big part. But more and more, we have to get off gas. And I help a number of people install these, especially if you're on propane, which most of you here are not. But in rural Wisconsin, that's quite common. The last one is a heat pump water heater. I have one of those myself, and what's nice about them is they heat your water with electricity, but they can also dehumidify your basement. So that's a little helpful there.
Thank you.
Okay, just taking a look at the chat, I see Molly Schiffler had a comment. This is applied to condominiums, and that was answered by Bob Connolly. Yes, ours is a townhouse condo, and it really helped with a lot of leaks we did not know we had. And Bruce has a question. What is the current status of Focus on Energy? Is it still around to help homeowners?
Absolutely. So Focus on Energy is the multi-utility company consortium that's run at the state level by our state's Public Service Commission. You may remember them as the entity that sends you free light bulbs or other little improvements. But one of the bigger things they do is they both do a lot of marketing to encourage people to reduce energy consumption, but they also provide rebates and grants to make improvements such as these more affordable, providing a bit of a rebate to encourage you to go with a more efficient furnace as opposed to a less efficient one when the time comes to replace it. They offer some of their biggest ones for insulation and air sealing. And so it's important to, go with what's called a Focus on Energy trade ally, which is contractors like us. And there's a list of them online when you are doing an energy assessment or proposing to do work. because it can help reduce the cost of it. And so when I mentioned the City of Milwaukee program, the ME2, that's actually on top of what Focus provides. So let's say you were going to insulate and air seal an attic that maybe has some insulation, but not a ton. You would be able to qualify for $1,000 from the City of Milwaukee's ME2 program and $800 from Focus on Energy. So together, it's substantially reducing the cost. But by design, they are not designed to make them free. They're just designed to encourage people to choose to do them sooner, especially because the City of Milwaukee one runs out. It's our hope, especially with the infrastructure bill, a lot of money is supposed to come to the state and localities to increase their home upgrade programs and other commercial upgrade programs. We do not know how fast, we do not know what that looks like, but it's a nod to just how important this is. And so, you know, getting signed up makes sense. Take advantage of the ME2 program if you can, but just know where your house stands, because if there are other grants and rebates and financing coming, being prepared makes sense.
Kevin, I noticed that you have some clients further out from Milwaukee area. Just how far out do you plan to go with your business into the state, or are you planning to take over the whole Midwest?
God willing, right? No, it's there's a particular reason why we wanted to work with the laborers union, because they work and train laborers all over the country, especially all over Wisconsin. Last year, we were in 18 counties. We'd worked on homes in Minocqua, Door County, Eau Claire, La Crosse, even Belmont, just outside Platteville. And so that has been wonderful. And over time, we will be able to work with local workers and not have to fly people in to create living wage jobs in all those different places. But for now, we want to prove that here in southeastern Wisconsin. So if you know somebody who lives in Rhinelander who wants to talk about this, I won't say no, but I'd rather talk to your friend from Milwaukee. Keep my carbon emissions of our hybrid vehicles down.
Okay, Kev, looks like Dennis had another question, then I have one.
Yes, it seems like there are a lot of places in Wisconsin that have trouble with radon. I think particularly in the basement. Is that something you have to watch out for when you really kind of air seal or tightly seal these houses?
Radon is a concern for many homes. Radon is a generally colorless, odorless gas that often comes up from underground. I myself have a radon mitigation system in my own home. It is the second leading cause of lung cancer outside of smoking in the country. And so it's something that probably isn't talked about enough as far as air quality goes. And it is something that should be paid attention more. So there's a number of environmental concerns in homes that I think a lot of us aren't aware of. Even just as simple as too much carbon dioxide in the bedroom while we're sleeping can influence the quality of our sleep. Two, carbon monoxide that might come down the chimney through an old water heater if we're not careful. But to your question about radon, yes, it is something that one has to pay attention to. And you can get your own little radon kit at home, or you can hire someone who can do a radon test of the home. We leave little air quality sensors in the house in different parts of the home. And so you can see what the air quality is in the bedroom or the living room or wherever. And we leave them for a week. So we actually see throughout a week's worth of activity what the quality of your air in the home is. And what is surprising is that many people's indoor air quality is worse than it being outside, even if you live on a busy street. And so it is something to pay more attention to.
Okay. I had a question, and I wondered, home energy law seems to be focused on older homes, Milwaukee's stock of homes built in the early 1900s. I wonder how homes built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and up to now measure up in terms of this energy efficiency. And I wondered, to take your business another step, do you do any advising of people considering building a new home, and what to ask, how to build it before it's, put it into the requirements before it's built?
Those are great questions. So let me give you all some good news that'll hopefully make you feel a little better. One of the big improvements in building design, green buildings, has been that the international community for many years has come up with something called the IECC, the International Energy Conservation Code. And every 3 years, people from all over the world come together and set new standards that new buildings are designed to follow. And the state of Wisconsin and many other states voluntarily opt to accept those standards. How much insulation should be in a basement? How much insulation should be in the attic? What kind of heating system should be done? All of this, though, is solely for new construction. And our conservation code that is in our state law hasn't been updated since 2009, or excuse me, 2012. And there has been new versions of it every 3 years since. And so there is a 2021 code that building designers are supposed to, building architects and builders are supposed to use. Other states are following it. The infrastructure bill is providing a lot of funding to states to encourage them to improve their building codes. A lot of older builders don't want to follow them because it's harder or more expensive, but the home buyers who are in them end up saving over time through lower utility bills, higher quality of homes. So that's the good news. The downside about that is that those only apply to new buildings. So the state of Wisconsin, for example, only put in state law that homes should be, quote, air sealed in 2010, meaning every single house built before 2010 was not required to have a reduced air leakage to make sure that it's not drafty. And I should know, I have a 1956 ranch house in West Dallas that was so breezy, I'm surprised it didn't fall over. And so when we started doing work on it, we were able to cut the leakage rate by more than half how much heat. We find out in most homes we work with, we'll do that big blower door test, and we'll be able to say something that's in the realm of all of the little gaps and cracks in your home add up to the size of a 10-foot by 3-foot door open every day of the year. Just to give one example, that was a house I looked at the other day. We can tell you what that is for your house so you can visualize what they all add up to, even if you don't necessarily see them individually. So that's why, air sealing is a big part of it. New construction is a little bit better. We can help advise people when they're building new homes. But 90+% of all homes in the nation, or excuse me, 90+% of all buildings in the nation are homes. And most homes are old and already built. And so our main focus is on homes built before 2010. And more can be impacted than you think. And on the lead front, any home built before 1978, there's a decent chance it has lead paint in it. I know mine does. I know mine was leaky. I know mine was old. And mine's not even that old in the grand scheme of things. And so it's worth paying attention and finding out.
Thank you. And I'll just keep going for a second, and that just to let people know there is another message out there with every communication possibility with Kevin. So you can copy and paste that, and you'll be able to talk to him after the show, after the program.
Looks like Dennis, you had a question again?
Yes, we have an old home with a fireplace, and I finally have some wood to burn in it because we had to cut down a tree here. And is that some way I could save some energy, or in the long run, do you actually lose more heat than you put out by burning the wood?
It's a good question. Some homes rely on pellet stoves and other quote unquote biofuels to heat the house, wood burning stoves, pellet wood. If you were using it pretty consistently to heat the home, that's one thing. If it's just an occasional thing on like a cold winter or fall day, and then otherwise the chimney is mostly open throughout the rest of the year, those flues that close are not airtight. I've looked at too many homes and seen the air blowing through them to know that. And so it oftentimes is worse to have an open fireplace in a home. I would often encourage people to choose a gas insert or even an electric insert instead, and make sure that it is in fact airtight. A lot of the old homes here still have, and you've definitely seen this on homes, have furnaces or boilers or water heaters that still rely on those chimneys. You'll see metal ducting coming off of a boiler or a water heater or a furnace going into a chimney, as opposed to the newer ones, the more efficient ones that have those white PVC pipes that come out of the side of homes. You've definitely seen those. Those are both more efficient, but also safer. The chimney versions can, in rare cases, allow carbon monoxide to come back down into the home. That's why those carbon monoxide detectors really matter. We have to test every home that has them. But it also means that that is an open hole in your house every single day that warmer basement air can go right up the chimney, even if you're not using the furnace yet or not using the water heater. And so understanding building science and seeing where air and heat are transferring through your home is an important way to save energy, but also to stay warm. Any other questions? Let's see, did I answer them all?
There is a comment from Bruce at the very end about encouraging the state to update codes. Milwaukee tries to adopt energy efficient codes, but the state overrides that. Are you have any comments or suggestions?
There's a lot that the city of Milwaukee wants to do, but they can't because it's been taken away from them by the state. And so building codes is one of them. The state is the one that decides how building codes are to be, and they will be offered a lot of federal funds if they opt to increase their building standards, which we are in favor of for sure. But they haven't in some time. So we're really hopeful that they do. Again, that only applies to newer buildings. For context, one of the things that's in the new building codes is that every basement needs to be insulated in our climate. And I guarantee you all of us have been in a house that you see the concrete block or the poured concrete and there's just nothing there and it's just cold and moist and not comfortable. Well, guess what? That also is a source of a lot of moisture in the home and a lot of heat loss in the home. It's like walking around without wearing socks in the house. The rest of your body's going to feel cold too. And so, you know, there's a lot of improvements that we can make on many of our homes. And let me see if I can give you a couple of examples that you can leave here and go check. If you are in an attic or you are in a basement and you see fiberglass, fiberglass sometimes is in a portion of the basement that's kind of where the basement wall touches the ceiling. It's called the rim joist, faces outside. If you see old fiberglass and it looks really dirty, it looks like there's almost like a line of dirt or something in one area, that is evidence of air leakage going right through. And because fiberglass is not airtight, but it makes a great filter. And so if you see dirty looking fiberglass, that is proof that your home is leaking air in and out right there. And it might be the cause for wanting to address that. If you still have a heating system that relies on those chimneys instead of the PVC pipes, something to consider when the time comes to replace, opting for one of those instead. In general, the Department of Energy recommends about 16 solid inches of insulation in our attics. Most homes have nowhere near that. And so all these together, an energy assessor, whether it's us or other companies, and there are others, will happily walk you through because it's something that basically every home needs to do. And the Biden administration wants to upgrade 2 million homes this term.
Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll maybe ask Kevin for a little closure and the poll. Was there something, Jerry, that you?
I'm sorry.
Oh, just wondered if it looked like you were going to ask something or but we're set with questions. Okay.
I think we
Okay.
are, yeah.
Okay. Maybe you could just review a little bit the steps of getting connected with you and how to start and what you'll do, and then maybe go to the poll. Kevin, how about that?
Sounds like a plan. So I will pull that up momentarily. Again, the way to get a hold of us is to, my contact info is in the chat. I'll make sure that it's included, but alternatively, if you go to the link that I just put into the chat right now, you can see the video I showed that the City of Milwaukee made to encourage people to act. If you are a City of Milwaukee resident, you can sign up for a no-cost visit to your home to let you know if you're eligible for these up to $3,000 grants to upgrade your home. No income requirement for it. If you are outside the City of Milwaukee, you still can sign up for an energy assessment on your home. It can still get you access to special rebates from Focus on Energy or special green financing options, or just in general let you know which improvements make sense. But I encourage you before the March 31st deadline to share that video with other people in the City of Milwaukee who might take advantage of these rebate/grants to make it possible. I keep using the word rebate because that's what they use. Rebate makes it sound like you have to do the work and then apply and wait for the money to come later. That's not what happens. You qualify for it right away and it immediately reduces the bill. You're not fronting it and getting it later. It's designed to make this very simple for people, to encourage them to act. And so there are a number of Focus on Energy trade allies all over the state. We are proud to be one of them. And we see this as an area that more and more home buyers are going to be looking for green homes, and all of us are going to be paying attention to how to make our homes greener for the sake of the planet. And our pocketbook.
And then the poll, is that available now or later, or how do we work with that?
Let's share the results. So it looks like from about 70-something% of you guys answered. Thank you. And it looks like a couple of you live in Milwaukee. A bunch of you said that you don't, but you'll let someone else know. And I very much appreciate that help. It looks like the majority of people who answered said that you really like the idea of talking about energy assessment as the roadmap to cutting carbon emissions and saving money. Just continuing to talk in those terms seems to be the focus. Mm-hmm. Obviously, other ones really matter, but this is the reason people want to get one in the first place. That makes sense. Looking here at what comes to mind when you think of cutting your home's emissions, adding insulation and reducing air drafts is certainly the highest percentage. I agree with you. This is the one that nobody wakes up in the morning saying, "Oh, I'm going to go get more insulation today," but it really does matter. It matters a ton. But other one of these things also are important. Windows are interesting. So windows, I got to give it up to the window salespeople. They have done an amazing job of making people think windows matter a ton. And I'm not going to say they don't, because of course they do. They face outside. You can feel temperature. If you've been by a leaky window, you know it. However, that being said, windows are usually one of the last things I recommend people do. And the reason for that is new windows, insulation-wise, are not tremendous improvements on the old ones, unless they are a single pane window with no storm on it. If they are a single pane window with no storm, I would definitely encourage you to change those out. But windows, yes, they leak in some cases. However, air leakage, we care the most about at the top of the house and at the bottom of the house. Why? Well, because hot air tends to rise and it tends to leave out of the attic, which tends to pull in cold air at the lowest point. That's why basements often feel cold and moist, and why attics often feel hot and sticky and muggy. And so those are the two areas. It's referred to as the pressure plane in the home that we care the most. Windows, high cost, relatively lower impact. For context, the energy assessment on my home that I showed you earlier, we did do windows because I didn't believe what I just told you. And we paid $14,000, the bank paid $14,000 for what my energy assessor said might save me $100 a year. Well, that's going to be 140 years of payback before I have those windows paid back. So again, it's do it, but do it for comfort, do it for resale value, do it for the look of the home. Don't do it because you think you're going to get your money back for the amount of time you're going to be in that home. And all right, moving on these questions here. Would you like an energy assessment of your home? Yes, you'll sign up. I encourage you to do so. There's a section right under our website called Sign Up, and you can sign up for an energy assessment, or even just sign up for a phone call to learn more about it. And it looks like a few have already had one. That's fantastic. You want to double your impact? Encourage one more person to do it too. It's the only way we're going to get to millions and millions of homes. It's not advertising, it's word of mouth. Awesome. Well, I could talk about this all day. I welcome additional questions. I know that there is a deadline to when we have to be done though today, right?
How are we doing, Bruce?
It's after 12, so we can end it anytime.
Yeah, that sounds fine. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jerry, for inviting Kevin to join us today.
Hey,
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Nice job, Kevin. Great
All right.
presentation today.
Very clear.
Thank
Very
you,
helpful.
Appreciate it.
Wow, I learned a lot. You're a smart guy.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Bye, everybody.